I'm going to be speaking about a 2009 Bonanno hit that remains a cold case to this day. The victim, Anthony Seccafico, acquired his nickname because of his 5'5" height. But what he lacked in size, he made up for with determination to create a tough guy reputation. One of the things that helped that reputation along was his love of kickboxing. His rap sheet dates back to 1984 for criminal sale of a controlled substance, in which he served 3 years. During his earlier years, Seccafico was around the West Side captain, Eddie the Blonde Falco, who was the former driver for Chin Gigante. In accordance with the Genovese way of doing things, Seccafico was deemed too much of a hothead and uncontrollable, and was eventually chased from being associated to the family. In 1996, he was charged with 4 counts of assault and possession of a weapon while in Coney Island, Brooklyn. He pled guilty to the weapon and only served 8 days and received 3 years probation. Seccafico's father, nicknamed Tony Smash, was around the Bonanno family and ran gambling spots for them. Through his father, he became associated to Patty DiFilippo, who was a Bronx-based Bonanno captain. In November 2002, 20 members and associates of the Bonanno family were arrested and indicted in a multi-million-dollar gambling case. The charges included enterprise corruption, loan sharking, possession of a weapon, and other charges. Among those arrested was DiFilippo and Seccafico. In that case, Seccafico pled guilty to a conspiracy charge and received a 3-month sentence. The following year, in 2003, he was proposed by DiFilippo and inducted into the Bonanno family. In August of 2003, DiFilippo was indicted again by the Eastern District in a racketeering case. At some point, Seccafico was given a very tricky assignment, which was visiting the families of incarcerated members in order to drop off envelopes of money to help with their living expenses. To provide some further input, naturally, a member's home, wife, and family are sacred. Typically, you should never go to a guy's house who's away, and if for some reason you have to, or in this case, you're ordered to, you should always bring someone with you. And there's several reasons for this. One, you don't want to be alone with someone's wife or girl, because even if your intentions are pure, it doesn't prevent neighbors from gossiping. For example, they see a guy enter the house, and the next thing you know, people are saying the woman's having an affair while her husband's away. Another reason you never want to be alone with someone's wife, while sitting in prison, the husband may put it in his head that something nefarious was going on. In either scenario, it's dangerous. Anyway, one of the homes Seccafico was tasked with visiting was the home of Bonanno member Johnny Joe Spirito Sr. Spirito was indicted along with DiFilippo and incarcerated since 2003. They were charged with the murder of George from Canada, Shasha. In 1999, Bonanno boss Joe Messino ordered his captain Shasha to be hit, and DiFilippo was assigned to carry out the hit. On March 18, 1999, Shasha met with DiFilippo and Spirito in Manhattan. Shasha entered an SUV driven by Spirito and sat in the passenger seat. At some point, DiFilippo, who was sitting in the back, took out a silencer-equipped .38 and shot Shasha to death. They then drove to the Bronx and dumped his body on Mott Avenue. The reasoning behind leaving him in the street was explained by Joe Messino, who began cooperating in 2004. When questioned why Shasha's body was dumped in the street, Messino explained, "This way, nobody would believe that it came from us, because basically, anybody that we killed, we buried. And if you bury, right away they're going to surmise it came from the Bonanno family." In 2005, Johnny Joe Spirito Jr., a Bonanno associate at the time, questioned Seccafico regarding the small amount of money his mother was receiving and told him that he was not doing right by his mother. Seccafico responded by smacking Johnny Joe Jr. into a chair and then told him, "I'm around now, not your father. If you have a problem, tell your father to come see me when he gets home." Okay, let me just say, in that life, you're not supposed to put your hands on another member. And slapping a member's son is just as good as slapping the father. So in my opinion, I believe that incident sealed Seccafico's fate. Nonetheless, in the realm of the mob, Seccafico had a perfect storm brewing around him, and rumors regarding him began circulating. This is common practice among members. As soon as a member's name comes up in a negative light, they start icing the cake with stories and accusations. One of those stories was that Seccafico was being abusive and talking disrespectful to other members. Another accusation was that he was actually skimming from the envelopes that he was delivering, as well as acting overly friendly to the wives during those visits, which is why I stated you should always have someone accompany you because that person can also attest to your behavior. Something else he was accused of was speaking too freely about a serious subject. In January 2005, two conversations were recorded by a wired for sound Messino and his acting boss, Vinny Gorgeous Basciano. At the time, they were both incarcerated at the MCC. During those conversations, there was talk of killing Eastern District Prosecutor Greg Andreas. Andreas had prosecuted numerous members of the Bonanno family. In 2004, Messino passed along a message from prison that Andreas was speaking disrespectful, and that he also found out that the prosecutor dined in Campagnola, a restaurant in Manhattan on First Avenue. The Bonannos felt Andreas destroyed their family. Seccafico was one of several members being investigated into the Andreas plot, so the rumor mill blamed him for openly speaking about the plot. To put that into proper perspective, a conspiracy to kill a federal prosecutor would mean life in prison for anyone involved. Allegedly, Seccafico was overheard speaking to a member of the family Sicilian faction regarding the plot, and the last part of Seccafico's perfect storm had to do with DiFilippo losing weight while he was awaiting trial. In need of new clothes, he wanted Seccafico to pick him up a few suits from Vito's men's shop in the Bronx, a place where a lot of Bronx wise guys purchased their clothes. Seccafico instead purchased the suits from the men's warehouse, enraging DiFilippo. Let me quickly mention the super thanks icon found beneath this video in the 3-dot dropdown for anyone who'd like to show appreciation for videos like this. On July 2nd, 2009, at 4:30 a.m. in Staten Island, Anthony Seccafico waited at a bus stop near his house. He lived on Alyssa Way in the Aspen Knolls development, and the bus stop was on Arthur Kill Road, a short walk from his house. Every morning, he took the X-17 bus into Manhattan to a Bovis construction project, where he worked for Local 79, which was a laborer's local. That morning, a shooter stepped out of the shadows and shot Seccafico 7 times. According to witnesses, Seccafico attempted to run, but to no avail. One witness heard the shots and thought it was fireworks. Another witness said they seen a person, believed to be the shooter, running away following the shots. At 4:33 a.m., motorists found Seccafico, who was shot in his torso, in between the bus stop and the entrance to Aspen Knolls. He was still alive and laying on his back, but in a pool of blood. He told them, my chest, I got shot in the chest." Anthony Seccafico was rushed to Staten Island University Hospital, where he was pronounced DOA.